declared, "Trust me, it will soon be Podesta's time in the barrel," end quote.
Obviously, I think he and others need to be questioned. There's no doubt that Mr. Stone was closely associated.
So Senator Mark Warner, who's head of the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, the first thing out of his mouth the other day when he was asked about this, he said there's clearly a lot of smoke. And then he said an individual.
That would be me.
That's you. He said, associated with the Trump campaign, accurately predicted the release of hacked emails before it happened. The same individual, also admits to being in contact with Guccifer 2.0.
Oh, I'm not asking for immunity. I was maligned by a number of the members of the committee who said things that were patently false. And in a free society, I should have a chance to respond in the same forum.
Of course.
Well,
no one would disagree with that.
And I don't want to need a subpoena.
Right.
I don't need immunity, but I want it to be in public, not behind closed doors. Let's go. I'm ready. Because I think a lot of people would not like me to testify because I will put the lie to this Russian myth. I never had any contacts with the Russian state. To my knowledge, no one else in the campaign did. I think perhaps the Democrats could get over the fact that they spent about $2.5 billion. Trump spent about $278 million, and they lost.
Okay, but
that's what this is really about.
My possession that met their criteria. That would be none. As the president says, this is a fairy tale, a falsehood, a false narrative, first invented by John Podesta, the chairman of Hillary's campaign, as a distraction from the fact that Bill and Hillary and John and Tony Podesta made millions out of their association with the oligarchs around Vladimir Putin. What better way than to point a false finger at Donald Trump and his associates? So when, you might ask, will I be allowed to testify? I'm ready. I'm more than ready. I want to confront Senator Feinstein and Senator Warner and Senator Franken. And I particularly like Senator McCain, who's not a member of the committee, to sit in for the hearing, as he has the right to do as a senator, because I want to confront them about their exact words. Let's get to the important point. This entire Russian narrative is the centerpiece of a deep state coup designed to take down our president. History is repeating itself, as I said in the previous segment. They could not beat Donald Trump at the ballot box because of the ferocious campaign that was waged by InfoWars and Breitbart and Daily Caller and so many others in a vibrant, robust alternative media. Now they not only seek to silence us through a comprehensive and sophisticated campaign of censorship, but they also seek to remove our president through a series of leaks and false stories undermining his leadership and destabilizing his presidency. We have no intention whatsoever of letting this happen. So my message to the senators, my message to Congressman Adam Schiff, a man so full of Schiff his eyes are brown. Let's get it on. You don't seem to mind maligning me in public. Let me testify in public. You've accused Alex Jones of being a Russian spy. You have said that the bots are out promulgating the InfoWars links are paid for by Russia. Put up or shut up. Where's the evidence? Where's the beef? Where's the proof? I know what you're holding in your hand, and it's not evidence. It's time for the truth. Let Roger Stone, let Alex Jones, let us testify. I'm Roger Stone, The Alex Jones Show, and I'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Trump put out a statement saying, what you are seeing is sabotage. The fake news media is working hand in hand with Washington's corrupt bureaucracy to try to slow and block out our America First agenda. With so many forces out to ruin us, we are turning to you and our most trusted supporters at this critical moment. On Trump's website, he has set up a Drain the Swamp campaign, asking for contributions to help in the swamp draining process. He says, we have no choice but to completely drain the swamp. I have already started cleaning house, but every day from here on out will be an uphill battle, and we need to be prepared to go into the trenches to fight back. For more reports, go to Infowars.com. I'm Millie Weaver reporting.
Infowars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds, even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary process and technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender Armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win. The reason InfoWars Live has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this. My family takes this. And then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLive.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair's luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfoWarsLive.com.
Before you slip into unconsciousness.
And now, the tip of the spear, leading the fight to take back the nation. It's Roger Stone.
Welcome back. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for my friend Alex Jones. Make no mistake about it, folks. We, and when I say we, I mean the Trump White House, we here at InfoWars, the folks at Stone Cold Truth, we are under siege like never before. The internet giants, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Yahoo, they seek to kneecap us. They seek to silence our voices. They seek to silence those who would defend our president in the upcoming deep state coup. You see, they couldn't beat Donald Trump at the ballot box, despite the fact that they massively outspent him, despite the fact that they rigged both the old media and the new media against him. And therefore, we need your support more than ever before. I want to speak of a product that is a particular favorite in the Stone household, a favorite for my 19-year-old grandson, Nicholas. Now, Nick is very popular with the girls, and I think one of his secrets is a gleaming white smile. He has become a total devotee of the Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, which you can get only at the InfoWars store. Now, folks, this is not going to be in stock for very long. It's one of the most popular products, Alex told me, that InfoWars has ever had. And right now, there is a limited time price of just $9.95. Really, research across the board indicates that the health of your gums can contribute to a development of heart disease and heart attacks. So it's more than just cosmetic. Although, Mrs. Stone tells me when it comes to a bright white smile, this beats any of the products you can buy at your local drugstore. And because some people find the original peppermint flavor strong, although I favor it, we now have a bubble gum flavor, which is great for children. Believe me, folks, you can get this product now, and it's a win-win. You'll help the fight for freedom. You will bolster those who are prepared to defend and fight for our president, and you can get a gleaming white smile and terrific oral health. Go to the store and grab this now. Help the fight for freedom. And now we're going to talk about the censorship campaign that is being run against alternative media. And joining me is Andrew Torba from Gab Media. Andrew, welcome to InfoWars.
Pleasure being here as always, Roger. I appreciate you having me on.
So I know that you had a terrific segment with Alex Jones a couple weeks ago. I watched, and you started to outline for us exactly what's going on with these giant media companies and the various techniques that they are using to hamper our reach to our followers and hamper our reach to the uncommitted. And you sent me some incredible information about Reddit, which really blew me away and caused me to invite you to join us here today. When you were on with Alex, you talked at length about Facebook and Twitter. We may have time to recap some of that, but give us a lowdown of what's happening at Reddit.
Sure, Roger. So essentially what's happening is a combination of government-forced regulation on quote-unquote hate speech, special interests also pushing this regulation by pushing it to the social networks like Facebook, like Twitter, etc., to stifle what they would call quote-unquote hate speech, which, as we know, is very subjective and in the eye of the beholder. So there have been a laundry list of things that have happened over the past year on Reddit specifically. I mean, their CEO came forward and actually admitted to personally editing the content of Trump supporters who were critical of him. Reddit was forced to change their algorithm on their front page because the pro-Donald Trump subreddit, The Donald, got so popular and so powerful that they started to actually dominate the entire website. Another example is Reddit's ads product displayed that this subreddit, which is, by the way, one of the most popular and largest subreddits on the entire website, had upwards of 6 million total subscribers. When you actually view it live on the site, it only shows 400,000. So they're trying to make it appear like this massive community of pro-Trump supporters is a lot smaller than it actually is. There were also leaked communications from the administrative team at Reddit, including the CEO, trying to conspire to figure out how to ban the pro-Trump community, how to suppress them, how to force them essentially off the website, because they're gaining so much influence and they're having so much control over the site and dominating the news cycles with breaking news and investigating things like the Seth Rich murder, for example, trying to find truth. And Reddit doesn't want that. They want to push a certain agenda, and they've made their agenda very clear.
Now, I understand Facebook it has a new program that they're going to be using to further stifle free expression and try to hamper the voices of liberty and freedom. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So it actually came out last May, a whistleblower on Facebook's Trending Topics product, which is the news product, the quote-unquote news product on the right-hand side column of Facebook that's used by over 1 billion people every single month. It came out that they were actively suppressing conservative sources, conservative topics, and conservative ideas from this product that is used by over 1 billion people. And, it shapes what they see as news and what isn't. So that was kind of the first step about a year ago, and now they've gone down this path of labeling quote-unquote fake news with third-party fact-checkers that just so happen to be, funded by, left-leaning organizations, left-leaning, financiers. And what is actually, happening is it's having a reverse effect. So there was a study that came out, I believe it was published in The Guardian, that showed that when Facebook started to label certain topics or certain posts as fake news, it actually only propelled and accelerated the spread of that said content. So it's having a reverse effect, which I find interesting.
So let's go through some of these techniques, if we may. Explain shadow banning to us.
Sure. So, shadow banning is a way to essentially hide content from people who aren't necessarily following you. It's used on Twitter as example. When you look under the president's tweets and you see, a lot of the negative replies from, what appear to be, a lot of people that are upset with the president or don't agree with what he's doing. Twitter is using, the guise of hiding, quote unquote, what they call abusive tweets, and actually fully removing them from the thread. So even, large personalities like Paul Joseph Watson, for example, when he gets in there and replies instantly right to the president and, has hundreds of retweets and favorites on his post, he ends up getting de-threaded or he ends up getting bumped very far down on the reply list. And Twitter accelerates and bumps up the negative replies and the attacks on the president. And you don't see this type of reaction on the president's post on Facebook, for example. If you view all the top comments, they're all positive or, at a minimum, politically neutral.
Explain search filtering to us.
Sure. So, as you know, Google, controls what you're seeing at the top of, the page one result is really, the critical spot. That's where most people are going to see the majority of their content. And what's happening now is, Twitter, or Google rather, is, highlighting certain publishers like InfoWars as quote unquote fake news, and burying them down further in the search results or hiding them completely from the search results. And the amount of power that this has in terms of driving, traffic back to websites is astronomical. So, it's really crazy to me that a select handful of companies in Silicon Valley control, all of what we're seeing, all of the way that we communicate, the way that we get information, the way that we get news. And, now that patriots are rising around the globe and this rise of populism is happening on a global scale, they're trying to take back control, through these different forms of censorship and through these different forms of control that they're exercising.
Yeah, I've been particularly concerned about fake news flagging. It seems to me that they have armies of trolls blocking our content. Explain to us how that works.
Yeah, so Facebook actually just came out and said that they hired about 3,000 employees to view different flagged posts. And obviously we have third-party special interests such as Media Matters and their conglomerate ShareBlue, which is David Brock's organization. And they actually, came out and during the election and had, these paid trolls on Twitter, on Reddit. We've seen them even on Gab on our end. And these people are actually paid, per post to attack positive replies and go after, different posts on the internet and try to create this psychological, perception that things are, actually different or people have a different opinion than the majority of people on the internet.
So, I know you are the founder of Gab, which is an alternative, conservative social media organization. I know you've got some new TV and streaming features, which I'm very excited about. Why don't you preview those for the InfoWars audience?
Yeah, sure. So Gab is a social network that believes in defending free speech, individual liberty, and the ability to have a free flow of information. We don't want to act like Big Brother and decide what you as the user should or should not see. And we believe that there's a really big demand for high quality streaming content that is scheduled that people can tune into from a lot of the voices that are being silenced across other channels. For example, you see the demonetization of a lot of content creators on YouTube where they wake up and 30, 40, 50, 75% of their monthly revenue is cut, just completely gone overnight because advertisers are pulling their ads from YouTube over, again, this narrative of quote-unquote hate speech. And it's crazy to me that on the internet, you're not allowed to be critical. You're not allowed to, have comedy. You're not allowed to use facts and data and, real information to get news and, cover things that are important in the world anymore.
The one that aggravates me, I guess, is throttling, because you think you're reaching far more people than you are. They put a cap on your reach. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they're all guilty. It seems to me that when the network identifies a post that's going viral, they clamp down immediately to stop its spread. It's amazing how many of my followers contact me and say, "Aren't you posting anymore? I never see anything from you. Have you stopped posting?" And then you've got these social justice warrior puppets. This is even entertaining. It seems to me Facebook is very aggressive about taking down, fake identities, fake accounts, as is Twitter. But now they routinely purge our accounts, but they leave staying the accounts put together by David Brock and the other misfits at Media Matters for America. And then, of course, there's the troll bots. Right. If you look at any of the comments on Facebook or Twitter about Get Me Roger Stone, the terrific Netflix documentary that features yours truly and the important role of InfoWars in the rise and election of Donald Trump, you will find a torrent of hate, a torrent of obscenity, a torrent of attacks, and you'll find almost none of our supporters. I guess, we get to the bottom line is, how will we solve this, Andrew? What do you think the solution to this assault on our free expression is?
Sure. So the solution is that alternatives like Gab, like others, are going to rise. There's going to be a fragmentation of the social networking ecosystem, of the online ecosystem, and there are alternative technology platforms for everything, for search, for Wikipedia, for social networking, for image hosting. Patriot technology leaders are rising up and are building these alternatives. You talk about bots. There are over 45 million plus bots on Twitter. There's over 100 million plus bots on Facebook. There are essentially what's going on is there's this double standard. So the way that the left in Silicon Valley works is anytime they use a rule against us, they can just say, well, we're enforcing our rules. But anytime a rule isn't being enforced against someone on their side, they can just say, well, there's no possible way that we can reach all of the offenders because there's just far too many people. So it's this issue of a double standard in how they're actually enforcing their rules. And they do this on purpose. They use very subjective, very ambiguous phrases like hate speech or harassment or abuse. Things that can be defined in many different ways, and it gives them this broad, ambiguous scope to selectively enforce the rules, selectively enforce what they want people to see and what they don't. And that double standard, people are becoming more and more aware of it, and they're coming to alternatives like Gab and like others. And I think that trend is going to continue. That's the only way that we move forward, is that, if patriot technology leaders step up, build alternatives, and we stop making these companies money. That's the other crazy thing to me, is that we sit back and we see all of these things happen, and yet we continue to use these products. We continue to make money. We continue to give our personal data to these people. Why are we doing that? Why is nobody stepping up and building an alternative? And that's really what inspired me to step up and start, building an alternative myself.
It seems to me that one of the answers would be an antitrust action by the Trump Justice Department. One of the things I want to talk to Alex Jones about is putting a petition here at InfoWars to the president, asking him to direct the Assistant Attorney General for Antitrust to examine and bring a prosecution against the Silicon Valley big boys. That, to me, is one of the answers. We must, of course, hope that they haven't burrowed in their efforts to wine and dine Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, in their efforts to subvert and put the administration to sleep. Swift legal action by the Trump Justice Department is the best solution to this problem. Andrew Torba, thank you for joining us here on InfoWars and on the Alex Jones Show. And let me remind you, the single best way to fight those who would limit our free expression and a free press is to go to the Infowars.com store and load up on the fine products there. I'm Roger Stone, and I'll be right back to talk about the Patriot, Roger Ailes.
Ivanka Trump now going further than her father on whether those refugees should be let into the U.S.
I think there is a global humanitarian crisis that's happening, and we have to come together and we have to solve it. And
Does that include opening the borders to Syrian refugees in the U.S.?
That has to be part of the discussion, but that's not going to be enough in and of itself.
She's meeting with Lagarde. She's meeting with Angela Merkel, top globalist. Merkel, of course, pioneered the disastrous migrant policy in Germany. She's writing editorials in the Financial Times with the president of the World Bank. She's calling now for the US to take in refugees. Stefan, correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't sound very America firsty, does it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot behind it, of course, Paul. I mean, if it is a humanitarian crisis of the first order, then it is the result of the government program called arms sales, called arming ISIS, called meddling in the Middle East, called regime change. Just another example of how one disastrous program called regime change leads to another disastrous program called bottomless immigration from the third world. Is there a humanitarian crisis? Of course there is. For some of the Syrians, there is a huge problem. And the best thing to do, if you care about this crisis, is to resettle them in the Middle East. The cost is very, very clear. If you want to help 10,000 refugees, if you want to help them in the Middle East, you can resettle them for $10.6 million US. If you want to bring them to America, it's going to cost you $128.7 million. It is 12 plus times the cost to bring these supposed refugees, if in fact that's what they are, to America to resettle them. If you actually want to help these people, then stop doing regime changes in the Middle East, help them resettle in the Middle East, where they have a much greater chance of success in the long run. And recently, I think it was in Italy, Paul, they did a scan of the people pouring in across the boats, right? There's a lot of NGOs who set up this kind of Uber from Hell ferry service to bring people from North Africa into Europe, which is exactly what Gaddafi warned about if he was going to be ousted by the Obama-Hillary Clinton regime change goal in Libya. He said, if you take down this wall, everyone from Africa is going to try and flood into Europe. And in Italy, they did an analysis of a bunch of the migrants who'd landed, and only 3% of them were Syrian refugees. And so, no, it is a massive migration from a significantly overpopulated Africa, which has partly resulted from massive amounts of food aid and other kinds of foreign aid that's been showered on the continent, setting off, massive birth rates in an overpopulation crisis. And so, again, we have this whole series of dominoes. Ill-thought-out, virtue-signaling, nonsense, destructive government programs just lead to more and more and more disastrous. And I don't think that the Trump administration is going to take all this very seriously, but it is not very comforting to hear this kind of talk going on.
Welcome back to InfoWars. I'm Roger Roger Stone, sitting in for my friend, the great Alex Jones. Roger Ailes, the founder of Fox News, passed away at age 77 this week. I met Roger Ailes when I was 22 years old at the 1970 Republican State Convention in Hartford, Connecticut. Ailes was there to film conservative Congressman Tom Meskel, whose campaign advertising Roger Ailes handled and who Ailes catapulted into the governor's mansion, perhaps the last conservative to serve as governor of the Nutmeg State. Ailes was a communications genius who, as a young man, was the producer of the Mike Douglas Show, a very popular variety show of its day. And on one occasion, former Vice President Richard Nixon was a guest on that show. Ailes was in the green room before Nixon's turn, and they were shooting the breeze, and Nixon said to him, "You know, it's a shame that a guy has to submit himself to a gimmick like TV in order to get elected." "Television is no gimmick," the 22-year-old Ailes said to the former vice president, "and if you think it is, you're going to lose again." In fact, rather than be aggravated, Nixon immediately hired Ailes, who remade Nixon's image through a very concerted effort to show Nixon in a better light and to make him more likable and more human on television. It was the beginning of a career that would bring Ailes to being the key man in the election of Ronald Reagan in 1980 and George Bush in 1988. Roger Ailes was a patriot. He was a communications genius. And sadly, he died with his reputation in tatters, based on what I believe were a series of false allegations against him by those in the Fox News network who claimed that he had been guilty of sexual harassment. A charge that was never brought in a court of law and was never proven. Knowing Roger Ailes and his wife Beth, I believe that this was a vicious lie meant to remove Roger Ailes from Fox at a crucial moment in the 2016 campaign. But Ailes would resurface to advise candidate Donald Trump how to handle Hillary Clinton in the upcoming debates. And thus, one final act of patriotism may have helped save this country. And therefore, I say, rest in peace, Roger Ailes, friend, patriot, and communications genius. He remade Fox, or I should say he made Fox into a monolith that has long surpassed CNN and set the standards for cable news. And now, sadly, we see Fox being deconstructed. We see conservative commentators leaving, only to show up elsewhere and only to drive the Fox listeners to us here at Infowars.com. A fond farewell to a great American patriot and a true lifelong friend, Roger Ailes. God bless you and rest in peace. I'm Roger Stone here at Infowars.com, and I say to you, victory or death.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
statement saying, what you are seeing is sabotage. The fake news media is working hand in hand with Washington's corrupt bureaucracy to try to slow and block out our America First agenda. With so many forces out to ruin us, we are turning to you and our most trusted supporters at this critical moment. On Trump's website, he has set up a Drain the Swamp campaign, asking for contributions to help in the swamp draining process. He says, we have no choice but to completely drain the swamp. I have already started cleaning house, but every day from here on out will be an uphill battle, and we need to be prepared to go into the trenches to fight back. For more reports, go to Infowars.com. I'm Millie Weaver reporting.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Riches of wisdom. So we have Eden right there.
What's his name?
lies of the New World Order. It's Alex Jones.
Riches of wisdom. So we have even right there.
What's his name?